It seems Pearl Abyss is working hard to fix their game because there is a new patch available that fixes a lot of things that are problematic. So this is patch 1.00.03, or for better clarity, let's call it patch 3. In this patch, they're apparently adjusting some gamepad and keyboard/mouse controls, increasing health restore from food and items, and adding a new item storage in the Howling Hill camp. Well, what a fucking surprise. Who would have thought that you need a dedicated item storage chest in a game where you essentially pick everything you can see? Unfucking believable. Anyway, let's see what has been fixed. For starters, there are a couple of fixes for quests, which, to be honest, there are going to be even in the future. And that's completely fine. I don't have any issues with that unless the quest is actually stopping you from progressing the main story. Which is probably this quest called Reunion, where the cat would sometimes stop leading the way. Now, this next segment is what I'm more interested when it comes to the general patching of the game. For starters, they added more Abyss Nexuses across the continents of Pywell to improve fast travel via teleportation. That's the very first thing that you notice when you actually start playing the game. The lack of fast travel points is unbelievable. In my 8 hours of first impressions that I made the other day, I still didn't find the teleportation node in the city. Apparently it exists, but for some strange fucking reason it's kinda hidden, so you need to find it. Absolutely insane. Next, like I said, they added private storage that can be used to store items from your inventory. Again, unbelievable. Who thought that not adding a storage chest in this type of a game is a thing? My inventory is full of all kinds of stuff. I still don't know if I need them or I don't, but I probably do, so I don't really like throwing items away. And sadly, I had to because the game forces you to do so. Sure, you can offload certain items at the camp as a form of provisions, but that's essentially just donating it without getting anything. It is important for the general story, or at least that's my conviction, but I would still like to do what I want to do, which is sell what I don't need and offload what I certainly have idea what I'm dealing with. Next, they reduce the time required to acquire knowledge, and change skill observation to be only required once to learn before being able to use it. I really didn't understand this. It seemed like an interesting gimmick, but as the time is moving on, you just get annoyed by all this time wasting, so to speak. Then they adjusted when Force Palm is learned to allow players to use it much earlier in the game. Okay, I thought it was already early in the game, but whatever. And now they reduce the number of hits required to log trees. If you perform some tree logging, and you probably did because it's part of the quest, it's so annoying. So much time is being wasted with these elaborate actions. When it comes to logging, this is what you need to do. First, you need to cut a tree, smack it several times. Okay, good enough. Then the tree falls. Then you need to smack it on the ground so it breaks into 2, 3, or 4 logs. And then you need to smack each individual log in order to break them. And finally, you are able to get the items, or rather the resources that you need. I mean, it's like 3 business days to break a fucking log. I get that they want some kind of a realism or engagement, but sometimes less is more. People don't seem to realize that simplicity is hard to master, and this game is 100% doing everything opposite when it comes to simplicity for the sake of having more enjoyable gameplay. And speaking of that, they changed logging so the trees are chopped with basic swings without aiming first. Again, this obsession with aiming everything, jumping, logging, looting, everything that you need to do in this game, you need to aim at it. Insane. Now this next change is also interesting, and that's all about decreasing the QTE difficulty in the arm wrestling minigame and when pinned by an opponent. That game, when I first tried it, because again you cannot progress the main quest unless you beat the guy, was mental. I really don't know who was designing these things, but that person really needs to be slapped in the face. Now we have certain improvements with the Skybridge alignment device, visibility of Skybridge alignment device, and the visibility of circuit board attached to Axiom Force to show its lines while being moved. I would have to try to see it, but again, I assume it's a step in the right direction. Then we have added effects for destroying facilities at enemy strongholds, and the effects of facilities destruction are kinda balanced as well. Another important one as far as I'm concerned is reduced stamina consumption for Nature's Grasp. I got annoyed by this one so much when I was trying to plant the banner in the initial camp. They lowered the difficulty of the marksmanship and archery contest minigames. And another quality of life change, which as far as I'm concerned is amazing, is they changed Visione to be automatically equipped and play after reading memory fragments with the lantern. When I'm reading these changes, there is a theme song here. And to me, it's basically this obsession to do multiple key inputs to perform any type of activity. Instead of making certain things automatic, like with this helmet for example, every single time you were reading a memory you have to press a button so it kinda gets equipped automatically. Which to me it's completely unnecessary. They're just adding extra steps for no apparent reason. Now let's jump to controls. And this one is also packed with interesting things. For example, they improved the response speed of the interaction UI, improved the responsiveness of jump inputs, improved the responsiveness of the main menu UI, improved the responsiveness of character movement controls. Most importantly, they added the following shortcuts to open and close certain menus. I for inventory, K for skills, J for journal, and M for map. Now reading this makes you wonder, was there ever a moment in development when someone said something along the lines of, wait a minute, every single big RPG has these shortcuts because that's how people operate. Tainted Grail, Skyrim, Witcher 3, you name it, they have it. And yet for some undescribable reason, this game launched without any of these. Granted, map was there before, because I was using it, but the rest of these shortcuts were non-existent. It makes you wonder that these people completely ignored basic control/UI design that we have been exposed forever. And then suddenly they're like, we're gonna do our thing, we don't really care about, 20 plus years of game development that we have been exposed so far. I really want to be in the head of a person that thought this was a good idea, just to see how their brain operates. Because I am hella curious to see what the hell is going on in that head of his or hers. There are some other keyboard/mouse fixes, like adding default control options for guard/aim and evade, changing controls to maintain movement input when using Axiom Force, and stuff like that. But there are still things that are missing and that are very vital. For example, horseback riding, or more precisely galloping. Do you know what you need to do on PC or other keyboard and mouse in order to gallop with the horse? You must continuously press Shift key non-stop in order to reach that speed, so to speak. And at this point, my pinky finger wants to assassinate me for all the pain that I have caused it. And then you take a look at the other games that have horseback riding, how that thing operates. And again, my god, why didn't you use what we already have as an industry standard? Take a look at KCD2 for example. Hold if you wanna trot, and double press of the Shift key if you wanna gallop. And obviously you hold it. But Pearl Abyss, for some strange reason, again, I don't know, I just think they had a bad day or something like that, decided to implement the most obnoxious way of galloping ever in the history of gaming. I really cannot with this fucking game and the control input. Also, another thing that I notice is fishing. Again, overcomplicated. If you want to fish, you need to get a fucking PhD in this game in order to figure out how the controls are. Again, I managed to do it, but the question is why? Why do you need to overcomplicate things? So many button combinations, so many moves. What is the purpose of it? Do you want me to get frustrated by this simple minigame/side activity? Or do you want me to feel like I'm fishing in real life? Because if I wanted to fish in real life, I would do it. But I want to fish in the game, and I want to catch stuff, and I want to have fun. Ah, Jesus Christ. Okay, moving onward. Next segment is all about boss fights and combat. This particular update mainly makes combat easier and smoother by apparently nerfing certain enemies and bosses, reducing stamina costs for blocking, and making ambush encounters less punishing. I haven't encountered any ambushes while I was playing, but it's good to know. Apparently now boss fights are also more readable and rewarding, with improved parry effectiveness and visible weaknesses even without prior knowledge. You have several bug fixes and all that good stuff, so this is basically how it looks like for this particular section. They did some NPC and NPC dialogue changes, but also some economy changes in terms of price reduction of restorative items sold by Carl at Howling Hill Camp from 10 silver to 1 silver. You have UI fixes and improvements as well, like for example improve the camera movement when observing skills, and they moved the knowledge and notifications menu from others tab to the journal tab and adjusted the order, which again it should have been done prior because this should be a part of your journal and everything that you experience in the game, rather than pushing into the others tab, which makes absolutely no logic whatsoever. Then you have certain things that are less important as far as I'm concerned, like graphics and settings. It's all about focusing on performance, visuals, and stability improvements across the platforms, while adding an 120Hz mode option on consoles and other fixes like, for example, settings not saving or resetting properly. Several graphical problems were addressed, including resolution and upscaling bugs, screen misalignments, abnormal image quality, and invisible characters or equipment on low settings. Then you have patches on Mac and enhancement of visual polish by removing effects, animations, and environmental details while fixing various glitches such as awkward character interactions, persistent letterboxing, and visual artifacts like the Abyss appearing incorrectly. Then you have performance, stability, and gameplay changes, localization, and other things where they improved horse behavior to approach the player after being called. I haven't noticed this issue, but if that was issue for some other people, good to know. And that's pretty much it when it comes to this latest patch for Crimson Desert. Now, what do I make of this particular patch? Well, it's clear to me that when I look at these things, the game needs to cook more. And I was having a inner monologue / debate yesterday whether or not I should continue playing this game, because at this moment the game is mostly frustrating me than me having any fun playing it. So I reckon the safest bet now is to just put this game on the side in order for devs to fix even more things, particularly things that I mentioned here like horseback riding and galloping, but also elements that I haven't really reached because I only played around 8 hours or 10 hours of the game. Now, I'm fully aware they cannot fix the story, or the characters for that matter, which is something that I also had issues with. But if you fix the general feel of the game, the gameplay mechanics, balance combat properly and make it more enjoyable, so to speak, then I see no issues coming back and trying the game, or rather fully playing it from start to finish. Also, I need to mention that developers themselves said that they remain committed to improving Crimson Desert and your experience in Pywell. So I reckon that's another commendable thing. They seem to be aware of these things, they are doing their best to fix it, so again, it's a W in my book when it comes to this situation. So yeah, I'm putting Crimson Desert on hold and putting sights on another game that I initially wanted to play but opted to play Crimson Desert first, and that game is Death Stranding 2. Hopefully, Crimson Desert is going to be improved over the next couple of weeks, and then I'm going to come back to it and see how these changes are affecting my overall gameplay experience, which hopefully will lead into me actually playing the whole game and experiencing every single aspect of it. But for now, this is the current situation, so we just roll with it. There is no other way. Anyway, that's it from me. Until the next one.